Welcome back. Uh, Through this video, we are going to learn how to launch EC2 instance with IAM role, and we can use the AWS CLI services from the EC2 instance if we do so. Generally, when EC2 instance is launched and it has to access any of the services, it has to have the access key, secret key configured inside it. That's the only way it can access. The other way, other than that, is the creating the role. So suppose if you do not want to keep your access key, secret key inside the EC2 instance from the security reason, then you have a better choice. You can create an IAM role and attach to the EC2 instance. So let's have a demo of it so that we understand what we are talking about. So for that, you have to log into your AWS management console and locate the IAM service. Firstly, we are going to create a role to allow the EC2 full access for S3 full access to EC2 instance. So for that, we'll just click on the roles and create a new role. For that, we are going to choose the EC2 as a service. This is the service which is going to consume the next service as S3. You can do for any of the other service as well. So EC2 is going to consume to S3. So we are going to get the policy listed over here from the default policy. So we'll choose the default policy as a S3 full access. This is the one that we have to give. But if you want to adjust the policy, you can get a custom policy created with different policy statement. Next thing is a tag, which we are going to skip for the moment, but it's necessary to create the tag so that you can group them or organize the resources a better way. You can have a better control over your resource utilizations. Here we'll give a role name for the role that we are creating. So we are going to give a role as a S3 full access role, and same thing I'm going to copy and paste to the next one, and we'll click on the create role. So once the role is created, this is the one that is created over here, and this is the entity which is going to consume the role that we have created. So once we are done with this, we have to locate the EC2 instance and launch EC2 instance with the particular role that we have created just now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch EC2 instance now. We'll follow the same process how we have done in different videos. So same thing, we'll choose the T2 micro as a free tier eligibility. In the next screen, here everything is going to remain default value. I'm not going to change anything except for the one that is IAM role. So I'm going to select the IAM role as a S3 full access role basically. So there's the one change that you have to make, the one that we have created, which carries all the operations supported inside the S3 by the entity which has this role. So currently this particular EC2 instance gets this role assigned, and it will have a complete access to S3. That means it can upload the create the bucket, upload the objects, it can modify the object, it can version the object, it can delete the object, it can do several things, whatever possibly offered by S3, right? So this is what we have changed, and that's the only thing we require to change in this screen. The rest of the things we can skip for this particular lab. We do not require anything to be changed from the default settings, so we will be good with that. Here I have already the Mumbai key pair. If you do not have the key pair, you can select this option, otherwise use the existing key pair option. This is what I have already downloaded and it's there in my local. So if that is the case, feel free to match the same selection. After that, you click on the launch instance. This will make sure that all the processes are started. So we'll go back to EC2 instance here and see that it is being basically provisioned, so it will take some time. So meanwhile, we'll just take the IP address from here and go to the downloads folder where we have the key pair basically. And here we can start the CMD. You can do it from any of the place, but this will be relatively simple for me to not type a linear path for key pair basically. So the key pair is here. So my key pair is in the same path. So that's the reason I'm operating my CMD for SSH connectivity from here. Otherwise, you can hit the command from anywhere. One thing you have to do is you have to give a full path to the PEM file. So next is giving a PEM file and EC2 user at the IP that we have copied of the, this is the public IP of the EC2 instance. So if we have the instance up and running, yep, so this is running. So we'll go back and hit this command to connect the SSH. So once this is connected, we'll see the AWS basically walking over here, so we can test some of the commands. AWS S3 ls, and it is showing two of the buckets are there. So suppose if this role is not configured, which we can quickly test that as well. Let's deploy another server. This time we are not giving any IAM role. So what will happen to my EC2 instance? Will I be able to use the basically AWS CLI from there or no? So that's the something we are going to just verify now. We have a second instance which is getting provisioned. I'll just put it as a second. And there's the one that we have already connected. So I'm going to give a name as a first. So let's get it started. Meanwhile, we'll just verify these are the two objects in a bucket. So let me start one more tab for going to S3 and verifying if we have two of the buckets. In my S3, since this S3 is a global service, so regardless of my bucket is in which region, it will list out everything in a one place. So these are the two buckets which are there. So here I see the same two buckets listed out. So AWS CLI is working for us without doing any configuration. Ideally, when you launch your Amazon machine image using the Amazon given Linux, basically there is a pre-bundled AWS CLI inside, so you do not have to install it. But if you are using any other flavor of Linux which is not Amazon provided, in that case you have to install the AWS CLI. But once you install it, it doesn't guarantee that all the things will work until unless you do the AWS configure. But in case of you are creating a role and attaching the role to EC2 instance, whole thing start working without configuration, because this time we are not depending on the access key and secret key. So there's the two different ways, and you know how to configure. There's a one video which is already created on how to configure AWS CLI using the access key secret key. So please do refer to that to learn about how to configure the AWS CLI using access key secret key. So by this time, I think we must have that instance running. The second one is running as well. So let's select the second one and copy the IP address. both of the instances are in a Mumbai, so I can use the same key pair. And I'm starting one more command prompt, and here same thing, ssh -i and pim file, which is Mumbai key pair EC2 user at the IP address that we have copied. So once we connect it, only a small experiment we are going to do is AWS S3 list the bucket. So this time we got a different error. This in fact is also AWS Linux AMI, but only difference is this does not have the EC2 instance role attached to it. So that's the only difference it has, and that's the reason it says unable to locate the credentials. It's not able to validate the basically the S3 is not able to validate the call that is being sent by AWS CLI, right? So AWS CLI is looking for the credentials to connect to the AWS offered services, basically. So this requires AWS configure command to run and then fix this. So I have already the video, as I mentioned that. Please feel free to go to the Code School channel and then find it out, and you can practice it to configure the AWS CLI using that, and then you can achieve the same thing that you are achieving with the through the role. So that's all in the lab. Hope you have enjoyed the learning. If you have enjoyed the learning, please feel free to subscribe and give a like to the video, so that that will get you a lot of other videos on the same topics. Thanks a lot. Meet you in a next with the next video. Thanks a lot for going through the video. Thank you.